Welcome back to another episode of The Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, an associate, a relative, an enemy even, I don't mind. Just share the vids. Please, let's get those subscription numbers up. I appreciate everyone that does tune in. All that good stuff. Now, I haven't been very active over the last couple of weeks. Admittedly, I've been watching a lot of TV, trying to catch up on stuff. Stranger Things, The Boys, a few other bits and pieces in between. Been playing a lot of PS4 and obviously getting to work and getting to the gym, so time's been a bit limited. But I'm back. So yeah, without further ado, this is going to be a pretty big news wrap-up video, so I'll get into as many topics as I can, as concisely as I can. Okay, so first things first, I am not going to be doing a prediction video this week because there's only the one fight on, which is Trevor Bryan versus Daniel Dubois. However, what I do want to say is, moving forward, I want Don King at every press conference. 90 years old, I don't care. Like, you ferry him around, you make him do the rounds, you put him up in the nicest hotels, whatever massages he needs to keep his health in check. You keep him alive and you keep him around, because I was highly entertained throughout that entire press conference between Dubois and Bryan. Literally, the entire thing. Even the whole first part, you're talking about war, the war and peace and freedom for, the Ukraine and Russia and whatnot. That part was all a bit, okay, it looks a bit opportunistic, but everything after that, like, Don was just this bundle of energy. Like, it's almost like he looked like a kid again. A very old kid, a decrepit kid, but a kid nonetheless. Looked enthusiastic. When you looked at the face-off between Bryan and Dubois, see him in the background, just loving every moment of it. He is a stark contrast to Bob Arum and his boring, I don't want to be here looking self. So yes, as far as I'm concerned, I want him around. As pertains to that particular fight, again, no basis picks, but I predict that should he come in shape, Trevor Bryan is going to shock a lot of people and make sure that people remember his name. I haven't seen the weigh-in yet, so no idea if that's the case, but skill-wise, he's very underrated from what I see a lot of other boxing channels and people comment on. Like, he's very, and he's got a good lucid style, fluid as well, which means that he's, he doesn't really get troubled as much when he gets hit. Like, some people panic, you can see he normally looks okay. But yeah, in the face-off, I mean, Daniel Dubois looked a little nervous. He looked a little scared. I don't know if that's maybe just because he's out of his comfort zone, didn't have as many people around him. Maybe Bryan had a lot more people in attendance, and Daniel he was uncomfortable in the atmosphere and sort of where he was, but he did look nervous. He looked scared. So I want to see how that translates over the weekend. But yeah, Don King, I want to see him everywhere. Please, let's wheel him around. The Don King tour, I'm all for it. So a couple of days ago, it got signed that Derek Chisora will face Kubrat Pulev in a rematch of their 2016 fight, which Kubrat Pulev won on a split decision. Although a lot of people say that it should have been a unanimous, because he pretty much dominated behind the jab and grab tactics all night. Now, both guys are faded. Both guys probably should hang it up at this point. But since that particular fight, Derek Chisora's improved as a boxer, although his punch resistance may have deteriorated. It's questionable. And in the last 2 to 3 fights from Kubrat Pulev, he is no longer sort of strictly jabbing and grabbing. He's like jabbing, he's throwing the right hand a lot more. He's doing a lot of dirty boxing on the inside, similar to what he tried to do against Klitschko. So in theory, this could be a very interesting fight. Now, I don't have a problem with it because I don't have to pay for it, apart from obviously my DAZN subscription, which is already being pretty well subsidized for that particular month already. So that as a main event, I mean, okay, it's a fun scrap. It's not for anything. It doesn't mean anything, but I ultimately don't recall many fights that Derek Chisora has, you know, since Derek Chisora versus Ajit Kabayel. How many fights can you really say were boring of his? Like, they're all still pretty fun, pretty entertaining. You know, I mean, do I really want to see him as a main event? Not really, but again, I'm not paying for it, so I don't have a huge issue with it. I don't know why so many other people are using this as the ultimate trigger to now slate Eddie Hearn or even Ade, who, you know, said that he thought it'd be a fun little scrap as well, or whoever else, or even myself for you know, having an opinion. It's nothing, it's not great. I didn't ask for it, but I've seen a lot worse that's been promoted recently, and there hasn't seemed to be the same level of backlash. So, you know, you just kind of take it for what it is. If the undercard is, you know, worth it, which I'm hoping it will be, then hey, happy days. But yeah, it's been signed. I was considering going just because I had a vested interest in going, but I probably won't at this stage. Money's got to be spent on a few other things. Maybe more about that later. So Devin Haney came out the other day. He was asked about possibly fighting Ryan Garcia, and he said, you know, Ryan Garcia was a popular guy, but ultimately he's chasing legacy. He wants fights that are gonna cement his legacy and get him to a point where people talk about him, you know, down the years as a, you know, as a historical figure in boxing, or like a new age icon, you know, so to speak, not just because of looks or Instagram followers or media, social media presence and whatnot. Now I've got to commend him for that, because I've said to people for time, Devin is a true boxer. Like, even outside of, you know, oh, okay, he buys watches a lot, iced out watches, he always buys big chains like after he wins a fight, but he's always in the gym, and he doesn't live a life that sort of makes you think, oh, his mind's going to be taken away from boxing. All he ever focuses on is boxing. All he thinks about is boxing and being the best and trying to prove that he's the best. So I agree, and I commend him. You know, I got into a little back and forth with my co-host Tony the Pugilist Boy on our breakdown show regarding what he should do next. I said that you know, him making 135 is draining him out, like having to continuously suck down there. He needs to move up to 140, but Tony's like, nah, he needs to stay at 135 and fight Tank Davis and Lomachenko, and then he can move up. Well, he said in the interview also the other day that he made the weight this time better than he's ever made it before, because he's now brought in a specialist to help in his training. If that's the case, and he can make the weight safely and not look proper drawn and gaunt and, you know, just mad frail on the scale, even though he doesn't necessarily perform like that afterwards, then okay, cool. I'll be down for him to maybe stick around for another 6 to 12 months within the lightweight division. But I do want him to move up and, you know, chase greatness up there as well. You've done Undisputed, you've already clocked this level down here. No matter who you face or you don't face, people are going to say what they're going to say anyway, but you're Undisputed, so no one can ever take that away from you. You got a big money fight in a Teofimo Lopez fight at 140. You got a very credible Regis Prograis fight up at 140 as well, if you want to take that. A lot of the other 135s are possibly going to go up there, and ultimately, if you know, the Tank fight could be made at 140 as well, seeing as he has fought up there previously. There's no reason to then say, oh, well, it's not my weight division, blah blah blah. Like, you fought up there, he's fighting up there. You can make that if that's really what you want to do. But either way, whatever Haney does decide to do, I'll support him on that one. And yeah, all good. What else have I got to talk about? So it also looks like Virgil Ortiz versus David Avanesian is now officially off. No idea what happened and why that's the case, but it looks like he will now be going back to fighting Michael McKinson, who he was supposed to fight previously before the rhabdomyolysis issue that he had with, you know, the wrong weight cut or whatever it was that prevented him from entering that fight several months back. Now, this is the second time in, I think, the last 4 or 5 months that Avanesian's supposed to be in the ring with someone and it got called off. Now, I'm not saying it's his fault on this occasion. I don't know who's to blame, but that's 2 times. That makes me think that something is not quite right, or the money is not money in the way it should be moneying. It's a bit of a drag, although this could set up an opportunity for the, you know, the Conor Benn fight that everyone is talking about. I mean, Conor says that he wants Keith Thurman, but because the WBC and the IBF and the WBO and the WBA, none of them have ordered the fight, which means it can't get put together in a timely fashion. He might just have to take that. He might just have to take that fight, the Avanesian fight, now for September or whenever it's going to be, and then just, yeah, maybe if he's lucky, get another fight at the end of the year, or come back in February and maybe be able to call out one of the American guys then. But yeah, I mean, Ortiz McKinson's going to be a very interesting fight. I feel like it might be very awkward and ugly to watch in the first few rounds and sort of pick its way up afterwards. But I mean, I'm still keen to watch it. I mean, McKinson's he's a quality operator. He's just not very fun to watch to anyone that doesn't love boxing with a passion. And even those people, he's a bit hard to watch. So you never know. But it's what it is, as they say. One of those sayings that we really should stop saying, but hey. Now, news around the campfire, which hasn't been confirmed as of yet, is that Anthony Joshua may no longer actually be going back to Sky and Sky box office platform for his fights, and could now potentially be going to DAZN with possibly their DAZN pay-per-view model as well. Another part of the story that I've seen, which sounds really weird but also really controversial, is that he's been offered £100 million a year for his deal, which also includes him bringing over all of his managed fighters. Now, that's very interesting, because does that mean the 258 management? Because I don't think that's particularly his. I think he's just like, maybe has a stake in it, he's like a stakeholder, already talking about AJ Boxing. And does he have fighters under that management? I'm not sure. But that would be very interesting, and that would be a big game changer to DAZN, because for them to bring AJ on, number one, you bring sort of one of the biggest stars. You might, well, whether you say he's number 1 or number 2 in the UK, he's like definitely up there as one of the biggest. So you bring him along, which brings a lot of sort of casuals to maybe subscribe, even if it's just for his fights or to buy his pay-per-views on that platform. But then other fighters will come along as well, because, you know, people go where the money is. So ultimately, if AJ is there, that means better paydays for his undercard people, or even other people that are just associated on the same network and the same promotion and, you know, platform that he's on. So yeah, like if that happens, it's a real slick move for DAZN, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, sort of how that kind of came about. I mean, Adam Smith has been almost like a bully in terms of him talking about how loyal he expects AJ to be, and you know, his home is here, and you know we want him, and you know he's gonna do the right thing. It was in sort of really like passive aggressive in a lot of his videos. But if this does happen, it's like, whoa, I guess that wasn't the case, Adam. So now you got more problems on your hands. And if there is some kind of deal whereby the 258 guys and AJ, all those fighters migrate because they're able to do that via their contracts or whatever, that's gonna be a brutal one. You know, that's Frazier Clark, that's who else is over there from? There's Frazier Clark. Actually, no, it's Frazier and Ben Whitaker. Is there anyone else? 258. Oh, Shannon. What's her name? Shannon Ryan. She's one of those. I guess they'll bring Sophie Ali Shover as well from the Wasserman side. Could be interesting. Could really be interesting. But you know, all's fair in love and war, as they say. And that's really all I can think to talk about at the moment. I'm sure I've missed out quite a bit. I mean, I haven't done a lot of videos recently, so there's a lot that I could talk about. But ultimately, that's the stuff that I wanted to give my opinion on. Whether you agree or not, as always, please leave it in the comments below. And ultimately, I will probably be back with another one tomorrow. I'm still meant to be doing my King Brit part 2. I haven't got around to doing that yet, but seeing as I won't be doing the basis picks, I might end up doing that one tomorrow or on Saturday before we wrap the weekend, as we do every Sunday. So with that being said, thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate it. Again, please like and subscribe and hit the notifications if you haven't already, so you get all of these videos as and when they come out. And for now, Hardcore Casual out.